everyone. This is Maria from Watertown, one of the co-hosts of Bruins Tape to Tape. We are recording a little segment on July 23rd because myself and my wonderful co-host Caroline are just like chomping at the bit to talk some hockey, any hockey. We're hoping you all feel the same way right now. This is definitely the dog days of summer for sure, both for the Boston Bruins and throughout the league. Everyone seems to be having a little bit of quiet time, vacation time, but we thought we'd take a little time to just talk about a couple of quick little nuggets that have popped into our puny little minds as it relates to hockey. But before we get down to the topics at hand, I want to welcome in my friend and co-host, Caroline. How are you, my friend?
Maria, I am so desperate for hockey. I am trolling all of the Instagram accounts for all the Bruins, waiting to find out when Pasta's getting married. And also, I am fully planning on attending all day, every day, my daughter's hockey camp next month because I need something. So I'm going to watch a bunch of 8-year-olds out on the ice.
There is nothing wrong with watching a bunch of 8-year-olds. And I can still remember the days when I watched my 8-year-olds at hockey camps. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching my granddaughter during hockey camp at some point in time. But, just in terms of, some little items that we wanted to discuss that we have some interest in. We're going to, take a little time to talk about replacing Jack Edwards because that has popped up a little bit in the news of late. Yes. So there's some activity there. We're still on Jeremy Swayman watch, and we might have a couple of thoughts with regard to where that matter stands right now. Interesting topic that came up recently about Jake DeBrusk, now that he is no longer in Boston. He was on a podcast recently and dropped a little nugget that many of us might not have been aware of. And I know you have some thoughts about that. Yeah. But the first topic that I wanted to get to is is there any pressure on the Boston Bruins to win? And when I say win, I mean win a Stanley Cup now that the Boston Celtics will be raising a banner at the TD Garden a couple of weeks probably after the Bruins start their season. And, there's been a strong legacy with this team over, a decent period of time now where they've been, a viable, contending, strong team. But do we have some pressure now on Don Sweeney and Cam Neely to win a Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I would say big time pressure. It's in Boston sports media. It's not at the level it is in Canada, but it's probably, I would argue, the most intense in the American market, even more than in New York. And the fact that you've got the Celtics raising a banner, they're going to have to look at that, obviously. But kind of a kick in the pants is the fact that, again, that first game that the Bruins are playing to open the season is down in Florida when they're raising the banner. And we all know that the Florida Panthers have been a pain point for Boston for 2 seasons. And then to be there, that is throwing salt in the wound.
Salt in the wounds.
There's a lot of pressure that's going to be on the players, certainly, especially these new guys coming in. So I hope that they're ready to buckle up and get ready to go because I think coupled with a lot of these external pressures of these other teams winning and them not winning, now you've got these new guys who are going to all of a sudden be thrown into this blender. And you've got Monty, who's going into his third year. That's the final year of his contract. I think he's going to be facing immense pressure
and that's another storyline we're going to need to pay attention to as the season plays out.
Yep, that's a contract extension we will be paying very close attention to if certain things do or don't happen by certain points in the season. So there's a lot of different kinds of pressure, and it's all mounting to, I think ideally, obviously, a Stanley Cup. I have yet to settle personally on what I think, what my expectations, like the realistic expectations are of this team from a front office point of view is, but it's going to be a pressure cooker. It's going to be, because a lot of these big time moves, it wasn't a huge risk per se to pursue some of these new players or to put all the eggs in the goalie basket with Swayman, presumably. But, they're making bold moves that would say, this is what we want to do, and we're going to show you. And so we'll all be looking at them and saying, okay, show us. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this team responds to that pressure.
Yeah, and you could potentially look at that two ways. I couched it as pressure, but I'm hoping that the players take it as motivation.
Yes.
Right. So when you're the primary tenant in the TD Garden, okay, the Celtics are renters.
Yeah, basically.
I mean,
let's be honest.
They're renters. Okay? I'm sorry, right? And but when you look up at in the rafter now, again, it was a long time in coming for the Celtics to win this championship banner, because the last championship banner was in 2008. So you could say, what are you talking about? The last time the Celtics won a banner was 2008. The Bruins won the Stanley Cup in 2011. Okay, I understand that. The Bruins had ample opportunities to hoist additional banners to the rafters during that gap between when both teams were, waiting to win the next championship. And, the fact that you keep eking you had those ever so close opportunities, and you let them slip by. And I know maybe it's unfair to say, is there pressure on management? Because they're not out on the ice playing. But I think when you look at it as a whole, where you haven't won a championship since 2011, and you're constructing good teams, why can't we get over the hump? What is it going to take to get over that hump? So, from a player perspective, when you look up there and you see, my God, these, and some of the Celtics players, I know that the players in Boston are all very supportive of each other. The teams,
100%.
The teams and the coaches all seem to be, very in tune with each other. Go to the different venues when they can to watch the games. So, my hope is that they'll look up there, when they see that banner hoisted by the Celtics, and then they have to endure the show that will, happen in Sunrise, Florida, when the Panthers raise their banner, that it will give them the kick in the ass that they need.
Yeah, I would hope so too. Yeah, it's tough, but I think, again, under Brad Marchand's leadership, his tenacity, I think his leadership style it's going to translate into that hunger and that desire and that drive. And, it's not to say that under previous captains that didn't exist, but again, his flavor of leadership is just a little bit different. It's a little bit more aggressive. It's a little bit more raw. And I think that seeing that, experiencing the other banner raising, his leadership style, I think is really going to fire them up. And I would say probably for the first time in a couple of years, I'm going into the start of this season with higher expectations. I think the last 2 seasons, we all had fairly low expectations, just because of departures and retirements and all these things. And this is the first time in a couple of years, I think I feel really confident in this team, the way they've been built and the leadership. So from everything that I saw last year, yeah.
So I want to ask you with regard to that confidence level, because you're right. We went into last season like, who knows, right? Who knows? The one thing that we did know that would likely be solid was the goaltending.
Right.
Now, here we are, right? Now, I know it's only July 23rd, folks.
All right.
I know it's only July 23rd, and I know you and others have told me to just be calm. It'll be fine. We have we have Jonas Corposalo signed as a goalie. Now,
yeah.
I'm not understanding where there's an impasse here or why we haven't seen anything solid with regard to where things stand between Jeremy Swayman and the Boston Bruins. I know he's in and around the city. I know he's been at the forefront of marketing materials.
Right.
But I know, I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
I don't know. I mean, I will say this is very reminiscent to the last Royal Baby Watch, if you remember back in, what was it, 2019, when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were waiting for their first baby. It was the same thing for me, right? I'm like, every day, I'm like, anything? No? All right. It's going to come. I would love somebody from this whole thing, whether it's Cam or Don or whoever his, Jeremy's agent is, or Swayman himself. I hope somebody writes a memoir. I gotta know the tea. Like I am a person who I don't get involved with drama, but I love to listen about it and love the gossip. And I gotta know. I've
don't
just
you
got
think?
To know.
I mean, there has to be, I would think, some kind of wink, wink, nod, nod, like, we're going to take care of you. I would hope, hope that was the conversation that was had. We're going to take care of you. We just need to do some tweaking or housekeeping at this point in time. But the fact that neither party wants to deal with arbitration again,
very good.
I did view as a positive sign, because it's very magnanimous of the Bruins to say, yeah, we don't want to go to arbitration. Yeah, you don't, because you're going to lose big if you go. So to me, that's more on, I give a lot of credit to Swayman and his team, but I want to think, and I hope I'm not being delusional in my thinking, that they've had some, informal conversations. Maybe there's some type of an agreement in principle. Maybe there's a rationale for which it hasn't been announced yet. But I just find it strange that, a player who seemingly is your priority or should be your priority, you still don't have inked yet.
I know. As a cornerstone player, as a franchise player, he's, I think we can all say at this point, relatively safe to say that with him continuing on as a Boston Bruin, you're going to be saying his name right after Tuukka Rask and Tim Thomas and, Byron Dafoe and on and on. And so it's just a curious thing. And, I know that I don't know what's happening behind closed doors, and I don't know all the nuances around these contract negotiations and whatever fancy footwork has to happen administratively on the Bruins side. My impression, just in general, and who knows, maybe this is just good PR management on the Bruins side or whoever's, but nobody seems worried. Nobody seems stressed. Like you said, I follow Swayman on social media. He's out and about. He's doing his golf tournaments. He was up here in Saratoga for a race not too long ago. So he's having a great summer. And it's not coming across as like a revenge summer, right?
Right,
Like
right.
he's not like doing that. It just seems like a very chill situation. And so I'm taking it at face value.
Okay.
That's what I'm
I
doing.
just find it just, I don't know, odd, curious. And Andrew Raycroft was a fill-in on Friday for the local sports talk radio show that I listened to here in Boston on WEEI, the Greg Hill show. And he was asked about it, and he sounded very confident that a deal would get done.
Right.
It just, again, I'm just maybe, it's me wanting to like, I
We're bored.
need,
We're bored and we need
we're
information.
bored. Yeah,
We're
it's
bored,
just,
guys.
I guess, maybe it was my bad that once Linus was traded, I expected the next piece of news to be, we've signed Jeremy Swayman, how many years, this is the term, and that didn't happen. And so I'm, just like, I want it to be done. Yeah, I want to know.
Exactly.
I want to know that.
Right there with you. I'm right there with you, but until then, we have to wait patiently. We are.
I'm not a patient woman.
I am not either. Trust me. Give it 4 more weeks and then we can see if we should be sweating, right? Because training camp the guys will be starting to get back into town beginning of September, end of August. But yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but is there some significance to the date of December 18th if Jeremy Swayman doesn't have his deal done? Does that impact his ability to play out the season?
I thought it was December 1st. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I think it's December 1st. And my understanding is there has to be a contract in place or he cannot play the rest of the season. So it's in nobody's best interest, although
let this linger. Yeah.
Although we have seen this happen. We've discussed it in the Discord where I believe Nylander has the same agent he's in Toronto, and they did play a game of chicken, and they did have him. He didn't play, right? Because he can't be playing without a contract. So he sat the first couple of months and he signed that contract like on December 1st so that he could play. And he really put Toronto's feet into the fire.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's this agent. But doing that with a forward when, you already had Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner is one thing. A goaltender, I think, is a completely different situation. I don't think you can do that and survive. So I don't think Boston would do that. They can't. I don't know. Maybe they would. Maybe they would. Clearly, because they saw something in Korpisalo, right? Enough to say, yeah, we'll take him, and we'll shine him up, and we'll make him like a
Yeah,
new
we'll
toy,
fix him.
and
Yeah, we'll fix him.
I don't know. So that's all I know.
It should be okay. All right. Well, I'll try to be patient.
Yep.
We'll keep watching, folks, and if and when the news breaks, obviously, we'll hop on and do a quick hits podcast, and just as a matter of housekeeping for all of our loyal listeners, and we thank you, those of you who do listen and retweet our episode links. It's very, very much appreciated. We are going to be dropping some quick hit episodes over the course of the next few weeks, just so we don't lose our sanity with no hockey to talk about. So,
Yeah.
we're going to be doing some player profiles, and we'll start with the newest members of the Boston Bruins. I think we can also do some profiles on some of the more seasoned members of the Boston Bruins, because I think we have some mightier expectations on some of the core of the Boston Bruins for the upcoming season. So, yeah, stay tuned, because we're going to be trying to drop, regular weekly episodes moving forward here. They'll be quick, but hopefully they'll be entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I'm looking forward to doing a little bit of homework and getting prepared for the season. So you all get to reap the benefits of us doing a little bit of the work for you all on the front end of the season.
So our next topic of conversation is, there was an article recently in my not favorite paper in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. However, it was something I found on Reddit, and the link took me to a Boston Globe article on the replacements for Jack Edwards. And folks, auditions are underway. It's a new era will begin at some point this fall. There a couple of names that were specifically mentioned in this article that were auditioning with Andy Brickley, who it appears will remain as the color analyst on NESN. And the two names that were mentioned in this article were Judd Surratt, who currently is the radio play-by-play for the Boston Bruins on 98.5, and Tom Caron, who is a NESN personality, who I believe has had some Hockey East broadcasting experience, but I know him predominantly for covering the Boston Red Sox right now. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. That was a nice piece of information to come across. If I had to pick between the two and I was picking, I'd probably would pick Judd, but
yeah, I thought that was a great little tidbit that came out. I've also read the same article from the Boston Globe. And, whoever the industry sources are, this is all allegedly, but it's in the Boston Globe, so take it for what it's worth. I thought it was really great to see Judd's name there. Allegedly, we're going to be finding out who the replacement is possibly in early August, which is really exciting. That means, at least for that, we don't have to wait too long. I don't listen to Red Sox games, so I've never even heard really. I know who he is, Tom Caron, but I've never heard his play-by-play, but definitely am very familiar with listening to Judd. Anytime that I've been on the road and I can't get, like if I'm in the car or someplace that I don't have the ability to watch a game. And quite frankly, a lot of times in some of the ESPN broadcasts, I would.
Yeah. We could do a whole podcast just on ESPN's hockey coverage.
Yeah, especially if it's my super favorite ESPN play-by-play.
I know, Sean McDonough.
My so favorite one. If it's a game that I really, really want to be tuned into, and I want to hear the play-by-play, I will actually put the stream on mute and listen to Judd. So I think he's great. I love how he calls the game. I like his enthusiasm. So he's definitely, a Bruins fan. But the article also talks about some other candidates who are coming from outside the market. And who knows,
right.
That because we don't know, who knows what that means. I would assume it's people who have hockey play-by-play, obviously, experience, but who knows? And
I would think this would be like a coveted job. This is a major market, an original 6 team. I would think that there would be a number of candidates for this job. And the article also went on to say that the Boston Bruins organization will have some say in the selection process. And it stands to reason why they would want to get this done sometime in August, because, knowing Jack Edwards the way that we knew Jack Edwards in terms of covering training camp and all the information that he would gather on the players and the preparation to get ready for a season.
So much.
Stay
I'm
tuned for
surprised that they hadn't just gone straight with Judd. But we'll see. My fingers are crossed. I like him.
Yeah, I like him too. But I'd also like to hear who else.
As long as they have life,
might be interested.
Just please, God, not a Sean McDonough or McDonough type. I can't do that for 20 years.
I can tolerate him. I can tolerate him.
I can't. It's like nails on a chalkboard.
I think he's making some pretty good coin at ESPN, and I'm not sure NESN can offer that same coin. NESN is not known for its willingness to yes. At least that's what I've heard tell. So
same.
And then so stay tuned on that, folks. That'll be some breaking news as well at some point. Yes, because that is big news. Jack Edwards was a staple with the Boston Bruins and the TV broadcasts. And so was he a bit of a character? Yes. Could he be a little bit of a pill on occasion? Yes, but he was uphill. So
exactly. Only we get to complain about him. No one else is allowed to complain about him because he belonged to us. So
he belonged to us. And so the last bit of news that I wanted to get your thoughts on, and I know you have a take on this specific topic, was, Jake DeBrusk is no longer a member of the Boston Bruins. He's now a Vancouver Canuck. He's done well. God bless him. I hope he does well. I hope he's found his happy place in terms of his, both his personal life and his career life. He was on a podcast and was talking about his time with the Boston Bruins. And I had no idea that back in, was it 2020 or 2021 was the first, he asked for a trade. This kid asked for a trade twice.
Yeah.
You're a kid. Now, at that point, I'm okay. I know you have a take, but I'm just going to get this off my chest.
Please.
Okay?
Yes.
You're a kid who did nothing in the league. You were drafted by the Boston Bruins, and you asked for a trade twice. And I'm glad that your teammates had your back both times. It shows the character of the players in the room, of the leadership in the room. But are we serious here? That's just my take. I couldn't believe it when I read it. And it for me, it validated, for me, I'm good with you not being a part of the Boston Bruins anymore. I'm good with it.
Yeah. I was surprised as well. That I was like, oh, really? And I watched the brief video clip, and my understanding was the first request came at the end of the season, and then the second one came a few months later. It was like that November, right? Of Cassidy's final season with the Bruins.
That's when it was his. I think his agent didn't do him any favors. That came out. His agent did not do him any favors by allowing that to become public.
Although, ironically, actually, I think his agent did do him a favor, because what happened right after that? Bruce Cassidy said, "Oh, you want to be treated like a big boy? I'm going to put you on the line with the big boys." And look at the 18 months he had after that. Yep. Now he is in Vancouver making bank. So,
well, maybe there was a method to the madness after all. Cost Bruce Cassidy his job potentially, but
I think he certainly did. I think, I was surprised from the perspective of, I was sorry. I didn't feel bad for him. Like, don't take this the wrong way. I was sorry to hear that he was in a situation, because I like to compare being on the hockey team, like being in an office, right? And I'm sorry that he was in a position, in a situation where it seems now very clear that there was an issue or conflict between him and Bruce Cassidy. That there was a significant rub right there. And he so did not enjoy the experience that he asked for a trade. Now, I think we can all agree, for a very long time, he was a very immature, emotionally immature, or at least perceived as an emotionally immature player on this team, who would blow hot and cold when he had pressure put on him. He would not perform. A lot of shortcomings from that. Not attending meetings and just kind of being a bit of a, I don't know, like kind of almost like a little bit of a brat.
Like, there was definitely some type of complacency.
Yeah, or attitude or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we can call it any number of things, right? Yeah.
And we don't know, did he do anything to advocate for himself and help his situation leading up to that? We don't know. I would guess probably not, just because of, like, again, that perception of the type of person that he at least was when he was younger. And then maybe he was just throwing in the towel early. We don't know. End of the day, it doesn't matter. He felt like he was in a work environment that he could not participate in anymore. And they didn't trade him. And I don't really know. It's a little unclear to me what happened between that first trade request and the second trade request. If there was any sort of, it got rescinded. I don't know. That's not clear. But the fact that he had to ask for it again and then it became public just makes the whole situation messy. And it's unfortunate. And he got through it. And he had an improvement in his career. Like that's a great example. Like, this is something you should tell kids, right? Like, sometimes life is hard and it sucks and you got to deal with this bullshit sometimes. And if you do everything that you can and you take advantage of every opportunity that's being thrown at you during this difficult time, you're going to come out all the better on the other side. And he did. So kind of like your attitude towards it, I'm coming from a different angle, but kind of coming to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
It's too bad. Sorry.
I just don't think it wasn't going to work here.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to work here. Now, will I be surprised when they drop the puck next season and he's in a Vancouver Canucks uniform and he scores 25 goals? Probably not.
No.
It'd be like,
we know he can.
Right.
But,
and people will say, and again, hindsight's always 20/20. I'm sure there will be, if that does in fact happen, or, he's more productive in Vancouver on a consistent basis
Right.
than he was here in Boston. There will be those naysayers that will point to that and say, see, Sweeney doesn't know how to draft worth shit. That,
Right.
doesn't know how to draft worth shit. So there's nothing we can do about that. There are some times where the fit just isn't right.
Mhm.
And, it wasn't right for Jake with Bruce Cassidy here. New coach was here, but then maybe the organization said to themselves, second time now he's asked for a trade. We're trying to get the best out of him. We keep putting him in a position to get the best out of him. And maybe it's just not going to work here.
Right. Right. So I'm sad to see him go, but not because I am thinking it's a massive loss to the organization. It's kind of one of those, like, I'm sad that it just had to end this way and it's the end of this relationship, but that it just needed to end, right?
Yeah, it was a lukewarm relation. My view is
Yeah.
it was likely a lukewarm relationship.
Yeah, you're mourning the end of the relationship more so than the person leaving.
Than the person, right? Yeah.
So, meh.
Meh. Yeah, meh.
That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Moving on.
Moving on, right?
So,
any other closing thoughts at this point for our listeners?
Nope. We are all just dying for hockey. So,
yeah,
keep your eyes and ears peeled. We will hop on a live if we need to, if the news of Jeremy Swayman comes out. But until then, we will be warming up for hockey season, and I can't wait.
I can't wait either. And, we'll stay tuned for our upcoming player profiles, both the new players and, some of our more seasoned players who I think need to have stronger roles, roles in the upcoming season. As far as I'm concerned, that's just my opinion. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I'm going to be looking to some other players to really establish themselves. It's because it's time. It's time.
It is.
It's time. I won't mention any names yet, but you might. You probably can guess who they are.
Trent Frederick. I'm sorry, I have a frog on my throat.
McAvoy.
Oh, shots fired.
How's that for a hot take, Charlie Mac?
I don't disagree.
Oh yeah, we can do a whole episode on Trent. Yeah, we can do a whole episode on Trent, but yeah, he's going to be in the crosshairs. He's going to be in the crosshairs to start the season, and as my friend Charlie McAvoy will be. I'm sorry, and people can call me crazy, but he's likely going to be in my crosshairs as well. Let's start the season. Yep. So
I agree. All right. Well, until then, as always, go Bees. Go Bruins.